hardcore rock and roll kind of thing, very up, sort of in your face kind of thing, and very brash and very hard rock, you know. And if we did a ballad, it would be something very slow and bluesy and druggy and depressing and whatever. But Sweet Child of Mine was the first up-tempo ballad we'd ever done. And so it was very poppy in that sense. And so it took me a while to get past that. And I play it now, and it's a lot of fun to play, and everybody loves it. But in those particular days, it just seems sort of the antithesis of what the band really was about, you know.
Is Paradise City still your favorite Guns song?
It's one of them, yeah. To me, Paradise City is very indicative of a certain period of Guns N' Roses where it really sort of, you know, it represents the band the way that it really should, you know. But, you know, I love all the Guns N' Roses stuff, so.
Really? Every single one?
Pretty much, yeah.
Which other ones in particular?
Just pretty much anything that we recorded I really like, because it has its own identifiable sound and certain kind of thing to it, which is as attractive to me as it has been to, you know, millions of people worldwide over the years. You know, if I wasn't in that band, it would have been my favorite band.
That's a good way to look at it. You know, Guns used to play sold-out arenas all over the world for years. Did you ever get sick of sort of playing the same songs night after night? I mean, you must have played Sweet Child thousands of times.
No, not that I recall, you know. There's something about, I think I'm blessed in the sense that I really, really dig playing, and the energy of every given night is different, you know. And so you sort of approach each show as a sort of a new day kind of thing. And there's certain ways of playing, or just getting better at playing the same song, or maybe finding stuff that you can play that you didn't play on the record that you might discover in the moment, you know, stuff like that. And so even to this day, I still love playing, you know, all the stuff that, whatever it is that I've been recording, I still really love playing it. You know. The only time I think I've ever gotten sick of playing Guns N' Roses songs really was after having played them in Guns N' Roses, and then in Snake Pit, and then playing It's So Easy and Brownstone and in Velvet Revolver, because even in clubs or whatever, where I could go up and jam, those were like the standard song that everybody knew and that everybody could sing. And I did get sick of playing those two songs. And at this point, I don't play them in our set, you know.
The other members of Guns N' Roses, Duff, Izzy, and Steven, have all contributed to your most recent album.
Right.
What was it like, you know, playing with them now as opposed to back in the day?
Well, I mean, you know, like Steven Adler was the one that I haven't played with in something like 20 years. And so that was a special day. It was actually Steven and Flea who played bass on that track. And the three of us all knew each other when we were first starting out. And we all used to hang out in the same neighborhood. So it was very cool all these years later, and everything that we've been through as established musicians, professional musicians, to go in and play. Because, you know, back in 1980 or whatever it was, Michael was playing trumpet, Steve was playing guitar, and I was just about to, because Steven played guitar before I did. He turned me on to the guitar. So there was this thing going on where we were all on bicycles or skateboards and about to become musicians, you know. So that was cool. And then, you know, working with Izzy, it was just that song really screamed Izzy to me. And it was nice to see him and hang out with him. I hadn't seen him in about a year or something. But we've done a lot of jamming over, you know, since he left Guns N' Roses back in '93 or whatever. And then Duff and I have been in Velvet Revolver this whole time. So it was one of those kind of things where working with Dave Grohl on this particular song, it just seemed the guy to call to play bass on that particular track was Duff. So it's, you know, good times, definitely.
Conspicuously absent, though, from that group is Axl Rose.
Right.
You know, things did get really rather nasty, it seems. Yeah, I suppose perpetuated as well by stuff that was said in the press and people just, you know, embellished.
Yeah, I mean, it gets blown out of proportion for sure. It doesn't. I mean, it's not something that I think about till somebody else brings it up.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, but everybody must bring it up.
Yeah.
When's the last time you spoke to him?
It hasn't. I haven't spoken to him since I left the band still.
Is that 15 years?
It's been 14, 15 years, yeah.
Are you philosophical about everything that happened?
I really don't have any response to any Guns N' Roses questions having to do with that at this point, because it's redundant. You know, there's nothing. I mean, it's been a long time, so I don't really have anything to philosophize about it.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess.
It's really sort of a dead issue.
Still, though, I mean, Duff said actually really recently that as far as any reunion with the original lineup of Guns, never say never. What about you?
Well,
Do you
yeah,
say never?
I used to be really sort of negative about it because I just don't see it happening. But at the same time, you never know. I mean, a lot of things happen that you weren't expecting, so it's probably a little sort of negative of me to be completely like, it's not going to happen, sort of grinchy about it. But I mean, no efforts have been made to try and do anything about it, you know. So I guess you just leave it to chance. You know, maybe it could, maybe it won't, whatever.
Axel still obviously gets asked about it all the time, and he still sounds like it's, really raw, particularly his anger for you. He recently called you a cancer, which sounds pretty bad, I think.
If we get into this conversation, we're going to be done. You know that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because I won't play that game. I'm not about to spend
no game playing
amount of time dwelling on that.
Indeed, absolutely. You did go from a huge, world-famous, massive success of a band and walked out. Was it difficult to get back on the horse after that?
No, I think when that happened, it was so difficult prior to that. So as soon as I walked out, it was a huge weight off my shoulders. So I was really sort of relieved. So the first thing I did was just spend the next, that was in 1996, so I spent the next four years just jamming, just out there enjoying that freedom. And then had some sort of health issues in 2001. But and then after that, then started putting a band together, and then suddenly got into this whole thing with Duff and Matt and doing Velvet Revolver, and did that obviously up until 2008, and then I've been doing this thing. So I managed to keep myself pretty busy. Yeah. So it's been good.
Coming up, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Slash opens up about beating his addictions.
I was really done sort of, with that sort of merry-go-round of drugs and alcohol.